Flooding, rainfall, dropping temperatures, and heavy snow are going to be big impacts here in Europe with the incoming robust Atlantic storms this week, but also in North America where another strong atmospheric river will bring flooding and even tornadoes. If you enjoy the following report, make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you're new. Let's get straight into it. Today's discussion is going to commence with a new section I would like to start doing more often. We're taking a wide view of North America and Europe for the next several days so we can really get a good idea of the origins of these storms. Looking towards the west coast of North America, the atmospheric river has already begun affecting this region with heavy rainfall, strong winds, and even a tornado threat later today. The subtropical jet stream has also fed into parts of Mexico into the southern US for the past couple of days, and that's why there was some heavy rainfall there, but you can see that this activity has since moved over the ocean. Then looking towards far northern areas of the Atlantic, we have a large storm system out there, and that's actually the same system which brought heavy snowfall from the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic last week. As we continue tracking the progress of that same system, you're going to quickly notice that it just becomes one of the many low-pressure areas that will eventually start pushing into Europe by February 20th into the 21st. And then after that first widespread round of rain and wind across Europe, this model is actually suggesting that the heavy precipitation that happened in the southern US is actually going to become another Atlantic storm, once again heading towards the north and joining forces with all this activity there by February 24th and the 25th. If this system does strengthen as much as current model guidance is suggesting, we may have to watch out for the possibility of damaging winds somewhere between Iberia and the British Isles. Regardless of the wind threat, the most widespread impact these storms will bring is heavy rain. For the western United States, the risk of flooding is going to be centered over California due to that atmospheric river. The precipitation forecast here shows that many areas will likely pick up several inches of rain, especially across coastal and mountainous areas. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for today, February 19th, for a portion of Southern California. Going into tomorrow, a slight risk remains in place for a large portion of the state before the risk of excessive rain really dwindles by Wednesday, finishing off around San Diego. But even though this system is not going to be as severe in terms of rainfall as the last atmospheric river, one threat that will be bigger is tornadoes. I know that sounds strange for California, but take a look at this. We have a 5% tornado risk area for the Sacramento Valley in California. Southeasterly flow through the valley will promote strong low-level shear, with photographs depicting low-level curvature. Those factors, along with others, will be favorable for the development of discrete to semi-discrete rotating supercells in this region. So once again, if you are within the risk area, please pay special attention to this storm. Now going back to this graphic, the heavy precipitation can then be followed across the Atlantic Ocean into Europe, where a few other areas of concern are noted. We're going to change this over to the 10-day precipitation outlook to really put into perspective the amount of rain these storms will bring. All of the major weather models have solidified an agreement of the heaviest rain happening from Ireland and the UK all the way down into southwestern and south-central Europe, and that can be blamed on the path these storms will be taking, which is from the northwest down towards the southeast. Keep in mind that this is a 10-day forecast, so we can't take these exact totals seriously, but I think that it's worth paying extra attention to certain parts of Europe under those yellow and red shades, since those areas could see persistent and heavy rain. It's also important to note that some of the heaviest rain could happen in areas that have seen too much or too little rainfall in recent weeks and months, so that will naturally increase the flood risk. But since we are talking about precipitation, let's also get an update on the snowfall. The snowfall forecast for the next 3 days looks similar to the way it's been recently, with the majority of snow happening in northern and eastern areas. But if we extend this forecast to the next 5 days, just look at how much that changes. For Ireland and the UK, we can see that the real snow chances are going to be for the higher terrain, so if you are in a lower elevation, then cold rain is most likely going to happen. But you will notice that there are some very light blue spots here and there, especially in Ireland, so I can't rule out some snowflakes trying to mix in at times, especially since it's going to be quite cold when the system comes in. Down in Iberia, it looks like a lot of mountainous areas will get in on some snow chances, even in parts of Portugal, although the heaviest snow is expected in the Cantabrian and Pyrenees mountains. If you do like skiing, then I do have great news for you, especially if you're in the Alps. Take a look at all the snow we're expecting just in the next 5 days, and this is because of all that moisture crashing into these mountains. And it's not just the Alps and Switzerland and Austria getting in on this, even on Italy's side of the border, since we will have some very heavy precipitation flowing in from the south. The Balkans will see some snowfall as well, but the first couple rounds of precipitation don't look to affect this region too much, so the snow totals will be pretty light for most areas. For the Baltic countries into Belarus, Ukraine, and western Russia, those areas are basically always guaranteed to get snow during the winter, so you can expect a widespread few centimeters of snow from a weak system moving through. And then lastly, across the Nordic countries, widespread moderate to heavy snowfall is in the forecast. If you do want to escape the winter weather, then your best bet is going to be southern Sweden, since this area will be warm enough to escape the winter weather at first. And then next up, let's get a quick update on what the temperatures are going to look like. Western and Southern Europe remain quite mild, even warm in some locations, but if we look towards Ireland and the UK by the 20th, which would be tomorrow, you can see a well-defined cutoff between the cooler and warmer air as the first cold front moves in. But on the 21st, we see a slightly stronger front move in, chipping away at this unseasonable warmth even more. That will spread across other parts of Western and Southern Europe going into the 22nd and 23rd, and then as more systems continue to move in, we see brief surges in temperature before that warmer air gets blown away yet again by cooler air coming in from the north and west. This process looks to repeat itself throughout the rest of the month of February, so it definitely looks to be a temperature roller coaster for a lot of us in Western Europe. My upcoming forecast will include more details on different aspects of these storms as that information does continue to be more available, but that's going to wrap it up for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.